If you don't want to have a close look at a 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue, don't waste your time watching the rest of this video. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, all roads lead to guitar quackery. So, not surprisingly, a customer just brought a 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue to Guitar Quackery and asked me to do an inspection, just to help him decide if he should keep it. So, we're going to have a close look at that guitar, and when I say a close look, I mean really close, under the microscope. And that's because, well, as you know, you are now watching Guitar Quackery, where we take guitar reviews and inspections to the next level. Let's pause here and let me now take you to the shop where a brand new 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue is waiting on the bench to be examined. Neck pickup is good. That's what the owner of this guitar says, who's holding the camera right there. Okay, so let's look at everything. We're going to start at the headstock and work our way down. The guitar sounds really good, looks good. It's got a few imperfections. So first thing, a typical Gibson oversight is the truss rod nut. As you can see under the microscope, it has a lot of finish sprayed over. And that's because they never tightened this truss rod nut after they sprayed it. So it's a little chipped off. I actually chipped this off when I was placing the truss rod wrench here. So I have the one that comes with the guitar. As you can see, it chips off when you place it there. I need to tighten the truss rod a little bit. It's completely loose. Okay, they should really do this at the factory level. The guitar has a little too much relief on the neck. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. So I'm not going to do the whole setup now, but I'm going to check if the truss rod does work. I'm sure it does. Yeah, so I'm measuring a difference now. Okay, no problem. So the truss rod works. I did go over all the frets and they are perfect. So the machine, the guitar went through the Plec machine and it came out perfect. But let's talk about the nut. So here we're focused on the E string and it's nice and tight. We want to look at all the strings, nice and tight at the front end. G string is nice and tight. Same with the D. Same with the A. Same with the low E. Now let's zoom in a little bit. I did already inspect the E string. It's really good. But we want to look at the B string. So here we see that, I'm going to detone the guitar. We have a nylon nut. It's been cut on a Plec machine. So what I would do to improve this a little bit is I would hit the back end of the nut with a file so that the string is not pushing down on this area over here. All right? It's also a little bit wider than it should be. But we can actually fix that. There's a little bit of good news in the bad news department. So from this end, come here please, we can look at the nut. We are going to measure the string heights. Okay, so if you look at the high E string, I can't even measure the difference between the string the string bottom and the first fret. Although there is a little bit of a clearance. So if I fret it over here, you can see that this, sorry, from this other side, I think. I measured it before. Yeah, so it's still passing. Okay. Now, the other strings is this. Okay. The other strings are a little bit too high. Okay. All of them. Like that. So the height I like to get is 0.02 millimeters, which is 2 of those lines. So this is way too high. So obviously we can file it down and we can perfect the knot at the back end. The frets are perfect. I went over all the frets, every single one of them with a rocker. There is no rocking. There are no uneven frets. The binding is the vintage, very thin binding, which gives us the very small nibs, fret nibs. So all of that is perfect. Now, let's have a look at the back. Okay, so it's a relic. We have nice finish checking here. All right, and this relic, I looked at the switch. I had to tighten the switch. Nothing, no big deal. It should have been tightened at the factory, but okay, I had to tighten it. Here we have the bumblebee caps. Now, there's been stories about those online. I'm not going to get into it. But the solder joints are really good. This is what it looks like here. I did open this output jack. It looks good. One thing that I did notice is that there's no relicking on the 2 strap buttons. Nothing here, nothing here. So this looks brand new. You know, maybe it should have been relicked if it's going to be a relic. Yeah, so this is the relic work here. Nice finish checking. I really like those pickup rings so that the pickups don't stick up a lot. And that's, I think that's a 1959 spec on pickups. Here we have the bridge posts screwed into the wood. Okay, that's a really nice feature. Overall, I think this is a really, really good guitar. Let's look at the logo. Yeah, heavy relic on the headstock veneer and on the sides. This is what it is. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you is that the frets are all nicely seated. I went over every single one of them. There are no gaps. So this is absolutely perfect. Really good. That was a quick technical inspection. If you feel that this satisfied your need to know, feel free to move on. But before you move on, please click like, share, and subscribe so that YouTube knows what to recommend to you in the future. But if you wish to know a little bit more about these findings, then you should consider watching the rest of this video, because I'm about to explain some details that might be of interest to you. Let's talk about the nut. So what I have here is a nut that I removed from another 1959 Gibson Les Paul. See, I even wrote that. So I removed that from a 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue because there was something wrong with this nut. Now this here is a replacement nylon nut that I'm going to be installing on a different guitar, actually. So, why do we want to talk about this? Well, because when they say that it's a 1959 reissue, it's open to debate. The nut that you find on a 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue is not hand carved like it was in 1959. It is cut by a machine, which is called a Plec machine. And to really explain what I'm seeing, I need to show you under the microscope. So let's have a look. This is a nut that I removed from another 1959 Gibson Les Paul reissue. This nut had some issues, so let me zoom in here a little bit. The string slots were all cut with a Plec machine. So as you can see, the string left an impression at the front end, and it also left an impression at the back end right here. That's because the Plec machine was set up to cut completely flat, a straight line, not a curved line. So when the string is seated in this string slot, it will curve, and it'll push down here, and it'll also push down at the back end. And that's really not what we want to see. So if we look at the remaining string slots, we see the same issue. On this one, you can even see tool marks from the, I think it's called an end mill, the little cutter that's used on the Plec machine. And here we see some lubricant as well. That's lubricant, by the way, that Gibson uses. And here we have 3 string slots that are definitely too wide. So that's the G string, right? And as you can see, the G string was pushing down at this end here because this string slot is way too wide, and it was pushing down in this corner as well. And now if you look at the B string, you can clearly see how it was cut with a Plec machine, and the string was only touching here and here in these 2 corners. And last is the E string. So this E string doesn't have too much of a sideway break angle, and it was actually wobbling inside of the string slot. So as you can see here, where am I? Yeah, the string left a whole bunch of impressions because well, there was too much play inside of the string slot. So now let's have a look at a replacement nylon nut that you can buy online. So it's pre-slotted, but these are only slots that will help you further cut the nut by hand. It's also Plek'd, or maybe CNC'd. Well, by the way, a Plec machine is a CNC machine, just specialized. But it seems like they used a different size cutter for each string slot, which is the right way to do it, because because these look narrower on this side. Here, this one is really narrow, right? So it seems like if you buy one of these, you can actually cut a better nut than what comes on the guitar. So there you have it. Like I said, I do a technical review. I feel there are a lot of musicians on YouTube that do more of a playability and creative review. There are much better musicians than I am. I'm a technician, right? Oh, excuse me. Guitar quackery? Yep, I did not forget. But thanks for reminding me anyway. Okay, thank you, bye. Oh, and please subscribe. Thank you. A viewer wants to know, what about the frets? Well, I was going to explain that. I almost forgot. The frets were plecked. Okay, so on this guitar, they're absolutely level. Okay, they don't come out completely leveled on every guitar that comes out of a Plec machine. Okay, but I want to show you under the microscope what the frets look like. So let's have a look. As you can see tool marks, well, scratches from sandpaper, I believe. So they just run sandpaper up and down the neck, and that's it. And they call it good. So I really wish that Gibson spent a little more time polishing the frets, especially at this price range. But you can always bring the guitar to your local shop and they can do it for you. If you happen to be in New York City, you know where you can bring it. The intonation wasn't set correctly at the factory either. Well, we don't really expect them to do full setups. Well, we can have a look. The intonation has not been adjusted properly at the factory. This still plays sharp. We're gonna have to flip this saddle. Everything was sharp. I already pushed these saddles back. In fact, I lowered the action, so it would have been even more sharp before I had lowered the action. I didn't check. So these are gonna play sharp as well. That's not the right pattern between the E and the D. This is should be more centered. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you feel that you've benefited from this somehow, make sure you don't keep it all to yourself. Click the share button. You can also click like and subscribe to let YouTube know that you liked it, and to let me know so that I can make more of this for you in the future. Thank you very much. Oh, you can also support this work financially. If you want, you can click the link below that says buy me a coffee. You can pitch in a few dollars on Patreon. You can buy some Guitar Quackery merch. Yeah, just check out the links below. I'll see you next time. Thank you.